Hey everyone, welcome back to Apollo Art Analysis. In today's episode, we're going to be studying a piece by the established multidisciplinary artist known as KLA, and in this episode, we're going to be looking at the vaporwave and the Dreamcore aesthetic. We're also going to explore the passage of time and its impact on culture and technology. So let's jump right into it. So at first sight, we see what appears to be all these retro television sets just scattered amidst the tide. It is noted a rather strange introduction and may even shock or feel unsettling to some as well. Notice how space is used within the work at hand, right? We have, really the foreground here, and then the far background is the ocean and the sky beyond. There is a nighttime setting here as well, and it does feel quite random. There is no set placement to these televisions. They're just scattered amidst the low tide and the sand and surf here. You also may notice, the colors within this work really revolve around this blue and this purplish pink. It is really a analogous color scheme, but, this work is anything but balanced. It is chaotic and is even unsettling as well, like we mentioned a bit earlier. We'll go a bit deeper in that here in a second, but you may also notice a sense of rhythm within this work. We see, of course, the tide. It certainly implies a sense of motion within this work, and you wouldn't be mistaken to feel like these are kind of washing away or moving back and forth, right? So there is an even further sense of chaos within this composition. And these televisions are what we refer to as CRT television sets, or cathode array tube. That technology is quite retro now. We work with things like LED screens and things like that, but the retrograde is very important and relevant to this composition. Of course, this is a symbol of the 80s and 90s culture. There is no doubt about that. And, at the time, it was quite novel, and it was new and exciting. But nowadays, we look at televisions and we see it as something which captures our attention and our knowledge. So there is certainly a degradation throughout time. Just like the literal and physical television sets before us here, they do degrade through time as well. To find a retro CRT television set is quite difficult, and especially to find one in good and mint condition, even more difficult as well. But this is no doubt a source of nostalgia for a lot of people, right? This style is incredibly important. When we look at the 80s and 90s, things were a lot more bubbly, things were new and exciting. Something like Nickelodeon comes to mind, especially those kind of 90s kids that grew up with that, if you will. But nowadays, we look at different brands and they're flat, they're modern, they're minimalist, they're very sleek and even soulless in that respect as well. The original artist was talking quite a bit about this. She talks about how at the time it was new, it was novel, it was so exciting, but nowadays it feels, soulless and really drained in many different ways. A sense of the gray or the white, the minimalist has certainly taken over so many different things. But she looks at this and she does not see junk. Other people look at this as just old television sets that could just be thrown out with the garbage, but she looks at this and sees her childhood. She sees a sense of nostalgia or a longing for the past and the style of the past as well, and I just find that so important. Of course, these have been forgotten throughout time. The passage of time degrades everything from culture to technology. I think we certainly see that unsettling feeling of this here. There is this scattering, there is a sense of chaos to the composition, which is just so relevant to the symbolism which the artist was going for. I actually have some additional works that talk a little bit about the vaporwave and the Dreamcore aesthetic. I'm going to bring those in real quick and see what we can learn. Alright, so I brought in two additional works, one from Pravesh XD and another from the original artist KLA as well. So these two works on the left are both from the original artist KLA. These two works are AI generative compositions. One, the work from today, is made in Midjourney, and this one was made in OpenAI's DALL-E 2. The work on the far right was used in Blender, so this is a digital render, but in all three instances you have that kind of retro television set, right? This, of course, has the monitor, this has the television set, and this is a TV as well. In all three instances, there is this almost unsettling nature, if you will. Of course, the work on the left is quite surreal. It is quite dark as well, unsettling in that nature. This one is quite chaotic and even confusing, surreal in that aspect as well. And finally, this one may also confuse people, this lone television set floating amidst the vast sea. But in all three instances, you have the Dreamcore or the vaporwave aesthetic. Vaporwave, of course, combines kind of retro technology, at times with a sense of nostalgia, or the neon, and the Dreamcore aesthetic is much more heavily in the nostalgia realm as well. And I think in all three instances, we certainly feel that sense of the retro tech, but also that unsettling or slight sense of horror as well. So it's just so relevant. I want to bring these three works in, or these two additional works, to compare to the third work, and it's absolutely stunning, and we love to see it here. All right, so like I talked about earlier, a lot of people see this as, nothing but just junk, but a lot of people have forgotten that sense of nostalgia that they once felt for that new and exciting time. But regardless, like I said, this belongs to the Dreamcore and the Vaporwave aesthetic. I want to ask you, what comes to mind when you view this work, or how do you feel when you view this composition? Do you feel nostalgic, or do you look at this as something that's much more unsettling than a longing for the past? All are very relevant, kind of speak individually to the work one by one, but regardless, this is an AI generative art composition. Like I said, it was made in the AI generative art program known as Midjourney. Midjourney is a very popular program, probably the most popular AI program to create AI generative art, and of course you put in these prompts and it generates exactly what you're looking for. But regardless, I really hope y'all enjoyed today. Like I said, we talked about the Vaporwave and the Dreamcore aesthetic. We talked about this sense of nostalgia. We talked about how brands have gone from light, bubbly, exciting, something like Nickelodeon, to much more flat, much more gray, minimalist, or even soulless as well. So there's a lot of different things we hit on today, and I really hope y'all enjoyed. If y'all enjoyed today's episode, make sure to check out the original artist KLA, doing some amazing stuff in multiple different mediums, from the digital render using Cinema 4D, all the way to AI generative art programs such as Midjourney and OpenAI's DALL-E 2. But regardless, there's a lot of different places to really appreciate this artist, and she even does some photography as well. So, like I said, a lot of different places to really discover and appreciate KLA's work. So, yeah, that's all I have for today. Like I said, if y'all enjoyed, go check out the original artist KLA. My name's Apollo, this was Apollo Art Analysis, and I'll see y'all on the next episode. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you'd like to support our work directly, please check out our Apollo community tokens. Apollo Art Exchange is an ecosystem of art appreciation which elevates artists each and every day. Thanks for listening.